Vea cómo quedó esto todo, Pereira. Vámonos que está tratando.
What's up out there, YouTube? It's James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope all is well with you guys out there on this beautiful Tuesday night. All is good here. Yeah, this is a situation that took place over in Colombia. They had a 7.4 earthquake. All right, and as you can see, it did a lot of destruction. Now, as a result of that, they're claiming that it's like the death toll is like 300 and it's growing. And people that's missing, there's like 3,000 people. You see what I'm saying? A devastating earthquake on the magnitude of 7.4 on the Richter scale. That's scary. You know, that is very, very scary. And this took place, like I said, just yesterday, Monday. We're starting to see a lot of earthquakes, fires, wind storms, everything, just like what the Most High's word said. I would tell you guys to make time to read Isaiah 29 verse 6 and Matthew 24 verse 7. Okay, so you can get ready for what's to come. All right, because they even talking about America will start experiencing things like this. And look, y'all just seen how them people was scrambling and rambling and falling and hollering and everything else. They church even got hit. You see this steeple right here? Broke. You see what I mean? Cars smashed, buildings just knocked apart like nothing. You see what I'm saying? That's a bad situation. I have a couple videos of them talking about, them looking for survivors. And after that, we're going to get into this article when they go actually talking about what's, going to affect America. 159 million of Americans that's going to be affected. You know what I'm saying? If an earthquake like this hits our country. So without further ado, let's check this out.
This is a live look right now on the ground in Colombia, a day after that powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake shook the country. It was centered in a region about 250 miles west of the capital city of Bogota. The death toll continues to climb. It is now more than 100. Thousands are believed to be missing at this point. You're looking at some of the search and rescue operations currently underway there. You can see a search and rescue team, several teams, and a search and rescue dog combing through the rubble from this building, a scene that has played out in so many places across this region of Colombia, where the search and rescue efforts continue in a race against time to pull all those that they can out of the rubble. NBC's George Solis has the latest from Colombia.
What you're seeing right now are those recovery efforts in real time. Behind me, you can see this effort. Many people, first responders and volunteers, forming a human chain to get debris from out of what used to be an apartment building out onto dump trucks here. Some of them without sleep, some of them survivors of the earthquake themselves, saying they have to help. They are compelled to help. They want to make sure the roads are clear so some of the heavy machinery can get in here. The only time any of this stops is if anyone thinks they might hear a voice from deep within the rubble, at which point everyone is quiet, hoping they find a survivor. And we're now getting new images of how bad this quake was and how it caught so many people off guard. And again, you can just see by the surge of activity here, this isn't just first responders, these are volunteers. Some of them coming from far away because they want to spread the word. If they find someone's loved one, that they are able to tell them, we found that person alive here, or we found remains. Again, here in the early hours, more than 24 hours after the earthquake now, people are still hopeful that they will find survivors. But of course, with 6 of the country's airports closed, bringing resources in for help is going to be a challenge. Many Colombians saying they are going to rely on each other right now. This is an effort of just human spirit and will through all of this activity, and unfortunately still so many reeling after this earthquake. Back to you.
This hospital torn apart during dangerous tremors that rocked the region when an earthquake hit Colombia. Healthcare workers forced to care for newborns outside. A family in Pereira narrowly escaping their home, the ground beneath them cracking. Seconds later, debris comes crashing down. Others scrambling for safety, running out of the school as columns fell around them. Tonight, the death toll rising as more than 3,000 people have been reported missing by relatives. Rescue teams now desperately searching for survivors at this collapsed apartment building in hard-hit Cali.
Take a look at this human chain of first responders and volunteers. Some of them survivors themselves. All of them moving that smaller debris. The objective here is to clear the road so that bigger machinery can get in.
There have been glimmers of hope. This 6-month-old infant pulled from the rubble, captured by a local news network, reporting that rescuers heard voices calling out from the concrete. Overnight firefighters saving this 35-year-old man who was trapped. A brief moment of silence to listen for signs of life, and then cheers. There are people, one man exclaims. Emergency crews putting this survivor on a stretcher as those gathered celebrated. This aerial footage showing the vast destruction across the region. Angela Yabarba's building collapsed and says it's a miracle of God she's alive. Everything was destroyed, she says. The water pipes burst, the floors cracked open. 15-year-old Samuel Rubio showed up today, bringing water to rescuers. He was in a class when the quake struck, sharing this video he filmed. I wouldn't be here, Rubio says, if the building had fallen on my school. It happened to all of us Colombians, he says. We all feel it. Estefania Peralta says she's holding on to hope. We have to hold on to that, she says. Hope that there might be someone alive. Tom, and this is what makes it so hard to get people out of this debris. You can see just how high it's stacked. An army of volunteers and first responders moving heavy buckets to hopefully be able to find somebody in this rubble. Tom?
That urgent effort still ongoing there. George Solis for us.
That was a total disaster for those people over there. And did you guys hear when that man said it came all at once? This particular thing took me to Luke 21 verse 35 and 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 10. Y'all check those scriptures out, okay? Because we are already in the time. It's not that we're getting into the time, but what the Most High said, what's coming on the earth, it's already here. You see what I'm saying? And the only way that you are going to make it through this is to repent. If you don't repent, I guarantee you will be one of them ones right there, probably even in worse condition. This is the article that I came across, Joan, that gave me about this earthquake warning issued for the 159 million Americans as weather event could rock the nation. Okay, a new national seismic hazard model predicts that more Americans could be at risk from earthquakes than previously thought. Okay. Now, I know California gets their share of earthquakes. They really do, you know what I'm saying? And it seems like to me they kind of got immune to it, but some telling me that what's coming as far as earthquakes is going to be beyond 10 on the Richter scale, magnitude. I believe that. I'm serious. Because the Most High Word says so. That the earth is going to be shaken like never before. You see what I'm saying? Now, to get into this article right here, says half of the people across America could face very strong earthquakes with the potential to damage buildings. a new study predicts. According to research, at 159.2 million people live in regions at risk under the latest U.S. Geological Survey, in parentheses USGS hazard model. This marked an increase from 111.8 million in the previous model's version. Okay, so we know that this is coming. This ain't fake news, as they say. You know what I'm saying? Earthquakes are already extremely common in the U.S., with thousands occurring each year, although most do not pose a major threat. This new assessment estimates that 47.3 million homes and 25.6 trillion in buildings could be at risk. It comes after a late professor Stephen Hawking predicted the exact date of the apocalypse before his death. Okay, that was the man in the wheelchair. He was wheelchair bound basically his entire life. I think, I'm not really sure. But yeah, I don't know how he knew these things, you know what I'm saying? Could have been delving off in the supernatural, the occult. I don't know. But like I said, the Bible tells us these things right here. Okay, but to continue, the USGS survey says that those who are exposed to the lower level of strong shaking then rise to approximately 234 million, which could still cause destruction. All right. They talking about buildings and everything else going to be collapsing, even more so than over in places like Colombia, because we got so many like skyscrapers here in this country. You see what I'm saying? It will be a mess, people. You see what I'm saying? Now, it goes on to say the threat has also increased in the new Madrid seismic zone in the central U.S., and even areas as far as New York, Atlanta, and St. Louis are listed as vulnerable to earthquake disruptions. There's also the potential for neighborhoods to be cut off from hospitals, while emergency crews and traffic could be heavily impacted, resulting in a catastrophic situation. All right. I don't want to be cut off from no, you know what I mean, hospital, food, water. You see what I'm saying? See, this is definitely something to prepare for. And see, it said like where you got New York is on the East Coast, and then you got Atlanta, southern, and St. Louis. That's Midwest right there. That is too close to where I am. All right. Wow. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy. This is real crazy. And see, New York and New Jersey, has been getting their little share of little tremors like 3 and 4 on the Richter. You know what I'm saying? And just early this year, I think it was something like maybe a couple weeks ago, I think Jersey was hit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really sure, but I think so. But with that being said, to continue, while the survey does not indicate that earthquakes are more frequent, improved scientific models show that more people, homes, and infrastructure are at risk than previously thought. What happens when the shaking begins depends not only on the strength of an earthquake, but also on the number of people, buildings, and vital services in its path, and on how well they can cope with earthquake. This in turn determines the final scale of the disaster. Now, with the weak infrastructure of this country as it is, and I'll say that because look, I saw a video where a couple cars were sitting at a stoplight, and all of a sudden, the ground busted open and swallowed both of those cars. You see what I'm saying? And that's another thing you're seeing. You know what I mean? A lot of cars getting swallowed up, just sitting at traffic lights. So it wasn't an earthquake then. So you can imagine what an earthquake could do to this place. It would devastate America, as it is. Why? Because see, the greedy ones at the top, they do not put no money, in infrastructure, period. Now, I do remember Obama talking about infrastructure, but, well, they didn't take his heat on that. That's one thing he was right about. Okay. But to continue here, therefore, if an earthquake strikes a lower hazard city with vulnerable buildings and extensive vital infrastructure in constant use, it could face greater disruption than a more earthquake prone region that has already invested in buildings that can withstand quakes. Well, you can rest assured America ain't did that. They may have invested in something like war or their own pockets, you see what I'm saying? But nothing like infrastructure, buildings and bridges and stuff like that. To investigate this further, the researchers looked at 600,000 highway bridges with a combined replacement value exceeding 1.5 trillion. All of these bridges together can carry 4.5 billion individual vehicle trips each day, which makes them an essential part of travel and emergency services. You got to be ready for this, because you'll be somewhere stranded. It'll probably even be like worse than Hurricane Katrina, probably 10 times. All right. The risk was assessed in part by calculating the average annual number of vehicles that would be unable to use a bridge after earthquake damages. The 6,000 bridge ranked within the highest 1% for hazard had an estimate replacement value of 31 billion, while those that fell into the highest 1% for risk were worth around $74 billion. See, they did their research on this stuff right here. Okay? Now, in closing here, it says the results show that looking only at a map of earthquake probability often provides an incomplete picture of how much risk a community faces. All right, which we know this is just an estimate. This ain't the real thing. What they're saying, we know it will be 10 times worse what this is talking about. According to the USGS, one of the 10 most powerful earthquakes ever recorded struck Alaska in 1967, measuring 8.7 on the Richter scale. It generated a tsunami, reportedly 35 feet high, causing $10,000 in damage, which would be worth around $100,000 today. It comes as a terrifying hidden fault line could unleash Armageddon in specific U.S. states. Now, y'all hear that? Oh, man. It goes right back to the Most High Word. That's when the earth is going to be shooken. Devastating like never before. So I would urge, y'all out there, you know what I mean? Best thing you can do by, getting prepared is repent, number one. And pray that the Most High, would deliver us from something like this if it were to happen, or bless you to be able to withstand it. That's basically what it is. I mean, because these earthquakes are now starting to happen more frequently. You're just about hearing about earthquakes at least probably about, 3 or 4 times a month. Somewhere is getting shaken up real bad. And this time it just happened to be Colombia. All right. So that's just what it is. That's all I got on this one, people. I want you guys to tell me what you think of this particular situation right here. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it in the comment section. That's if you can comment. You got these idiots worrying about trying to stop your channel from growing, shadow banning and all this, and don't know they are in the crosshairs of the Most High while they busy being stupid. You see what I'm saying? And when they little portion of calamity fall on them, they're going to see just what it's all about. It's just a matter of time. But that's if you guys can comment. Let me know what you think about this particular video, and make sure to like, share, and subscribe. People, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched. Stop it because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.